Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Intentional Careers, and this week I'll be speaking about one of all of us biggest fears, being put on the spot in front of a lot of people with senior people there, and you're freaking out about how you're going to manage it, and you lose credibility and think all of a sudden you're stressed and your career is at risk. Now, nobody likes being put on the spot or answering questions that you're not fully prepared for. And really, when you're put on the spot, it can be stressful. But here's the thing. Do not let the stress get the better of you. You don't need to let the stress get the better of you. And you can overcome thinking on your feet by trying these few steps I'm going to give you. They'll help you stay cool and confident when you're under pressure and deliver the assured message confidently in such a way that they leave there going, okay, he knows his stuff. She knows her stuff. She's on point, and they won't even bother because the next time when they have a question, they know you've got the answer and it fills them with confidence. So let's deal with this and unpack this very quickly. So you've been there. You spent a long weekend preparing a presentation, or you go for a job interview and you've anticipated as many questions as you can, or you're dealing with a client and you've prepared as much. You go in there, and after doing your whole spiel, you land the message, they go, what happens if this goes wrong? And immediately you're freaked out, you're stressed, you think, oh my God, I didn't think about this. I could lose this job interview. I could lose my career. I could lose this client. I could lose lots of money. And you start to catastrophize, think of the worst thing that can happen. And all of a sudden, it doesn't go well. You lose credibility. They lose trust in you. And from then on, it gets worse and worse and worse. How do we deal with these situations? So here are some things you can do. Number one, relax. When someone puts you on the spot and you're not quite sure what the answer to the question is, relax. There are a number of tricks you can do here. You can either clench your muscles, like clench your teeth, or clench your hand if you're virtual. If you're face-to-face, don't do this. You look crazy. But if you're virtual without the camera on, you can do that. But just clench some muscles somewhere, or breathe in and then breathe out slowly. And very quickly, that relaxes you. And that gives you time to think. Secondly, listen. Listen to the question, absorb it, think about it, ask yourself what exactly is going on. Now, one mistake we all make is when people ask us a question, the fact that we're being asked a question very quickly, we're already thinking of our response instead of digesting the question, trying to understand what exactly they want from us, and then giving them a cogent and very clear answer. So take time to listen and play back what was asked. Okay? So that brings me to my next point. Have the question replayed. When you replay the question, and for example, they go, what would you do if we don't get customers for this new product? It's easy, just ask. So the question you're asking me is, if we do expand our stores and we don't get customers, how would this in fact impact our revenue? Ask the question back, because what you're trying to do there is a number of things. You're buying yourself time. By playing the question back, you're buying yourself time. But secondly, you're also trying to find out what exactly the person is asking. Because the truth is, sometimes people ask questions just to sound clever. Sometimes they ask questions because they want to see you squirm. They want to put you under pressure. So they've got negative intentions. And sometimes they really genuinely just want to know what your answer is because they're curious. So asking the question back allows you to find out and read their body language to know if this is a bit of someone trying to make you squirm and you understand how you deal with it, or it makes you understand what exactly the question they're trying to ask is, so you can specify your answer. So these all act as kind of stall tactics that allow you to buy time and figure out what you want to say. But here's the next one, and this is a big one. Use silence to your advantage. A lot of us see silence as a bad thing. And sometimes when there's silence, you think, oh, I've got to say something. You do not have to talk. You don't always have to fill the gap. Sometimes let there be silence. Silence makes you sound clever. Silence seems like you're taking their question seriously and you're thinking about your answer. But silence also allows you to just breathe and make sure everyone knows that this is important. The thing with silence is when you're silent, for you, it can feel like sometimes like an eternity and you feel the need to blurt out, You don't need to blurt anything out. If there's silence, there's silence. Obviously, a 30-minute silence is too long. But a 5-second silence can feel like 5 minutes, but in reality, it's just 5 seconds. So you're just taking the time to prepare your answer. And here's the next thing, stick to one point. And that's the importance of listening into the question to find out exactly what they want. Stick to one point. When they ask, why are customers not coming? Why did you send only one email? Why have you not followed up with the customers? Just stick to one point. I haven't followed up because we've sent them 3 emails already and 1 should be enough. We think our customers will be happy because. You don't need to start going up, because the more you go all over the place and ask more questions or answer more questions and fill in the space on the gaps in the silence, the more they find other areas to punch holes in your argument. And then they ask you more questions and it just goes downhill. One answer should be enough. And if they keep asking questions, then say, how about we take time off separately to deal with this in detail? And then you have more time. You've been put on the spot. The meeting wasn't to deal with all of this. So if you've been put on the spot and they need more, then really it's not an on-the-spot answer they need. They need a detailed answer. So stick to one point. If they need more, ask if we should deal with this separately. Next one is think of some what ifs. This is more preventative, but before you go into the session, always think, what are some other things that they could ask me that I can prepare for? And think about these what if scenarios that if they come through, you can sort of bat them away and think of the right answer. And sometimes you may not know the answer, but what you can do is think of answers you can give that make them realize that you've thought about this and you didn't think it was something that we needed to prepare for, and we can take that off separately. So think about that. But here's another thing, practice clear delivery. The number of times I've seen people with the right answer delivered in a way that doesn't instill confidence is mind-blowing. Here's an example. They ask you a question and you know the answer, but you mumble, you stumble, you say, I thought about this, and if the customers are unhappy, we could do a number of things, or maybe if we don't try that, we could try something else. Confidence is everything. The degree to which your confidence or you display confidence makes them realize that you know what you're talking about. And most of the time, once you land the message of confidence, people go, okay, he knows what he's talking about. There are people sometimes that when they come in, all they are thinking about is how they can make others look bad so they look good. And the moment you land or you respond with confidence and say, this is it, it's good. I've been in a meeting once where someone asked a question, and because I squirmed, I just ended up blurting out a lot of things. And the person said, actually, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to understand your thinking, and anything you do is fine with me. And I realized in that time, I'd squirmed, I'd stumbled, I'd stuttered, and I ended up looking less confident than when I should have said, thought about this, I know this works, I've tried it before, and if we do bang, 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 and it doesn't work, we'll look at the feedback, we'll try that, and we'll improve it. But this as a start of a 10 to give us the confidence we need to go with it. So always, don't be afraid. Be confident, state the question, give them the answer, explain what you do, and move on. Keep it snappy, keep it moving. And finally, summarize. When you're bringing it to an end, just say, so finally, in response to your question, you asked me, am I concerned about customers? The answer is no. We've looked at what we did, we've learned lessons, we've applied it, and this is the plan. And we will have a series of checkpoints in there that mean we can improve. Or whatever the situation is for you, make it clear that the big thing is that you have a learning mindset. You have a mindset that means you're always willing to learn. What you've put in place works, and you can review it at junctions. So it's all about instilling confidence. And once you've said what you want to say and there's silence, let the silence hang. You've answered the question. You don't need to fill in the silence. It's on that person who asked you the question to say, I'm satisfied, or to ask for more. And if they ask for more, fine, let's take it offline, we'll deal with it. But do not be intimidated by silence. Don't feel like you have to fill in the gap. When we try to fill in the silence, that's usually when we go wrong, okay? So don't worry about it. Calm down, answer the question, and you're good to go. And that's how you deal with being put on the spot. It's not a perfect solution because there's never a perfect answer because context matters. But for the most part, it's about buying yourself time, asking, clarifying the question, answering the question, summarizing, and moving on. And don't be afraid to say you don't know if you don't know. Please sign up to my channel by subscribing. Follow us on Spotify, all the other podcast channels, and click on my link in the video to watch more videos. And I'll see you next week.